On today's episode of The Unwritten Rule, it is the Battle Line Trophy recap. Mizzou defeating the Arkansas Razorbacks. We did kind of, a little bit of a quicker recap this week. Just talked about some keys to the game. Obviously, Mizzou kind of overcoming the elements, forcing those two crucial fumbles against Arkansas. Absolutely praised the seniors for their play in this game. Brady Cook, Theo Wease, Johnny Walker Jr., all those guys kind of gave them a spotlight with their last game in Farout. Threw Luther Burden in there, of course, too, because he's probably donezo with his career as well as he prepares for the NFL. So talked a lot about the seniors and just what went well for them in this game in particular, and just how Mizzou was able to kind of pull out a win that has become commonplace in the same style that they've won a lot of their games this year. But just recap the win a little in depth with some perspective a couple of days after the game. And then we did a whole bunch of bowl discussion. Went through a couple of, at the time of recording at least, bowl projections from different sites. And then Payton and Kenny gave their kind of opinion on what they think might happen. We all did a prediction to end it of who Mizzou might play and in which bowl game. So that was definitely fun. And a quick preview as well of the Cal game for Mizzou men's basketball in the SEC ACC Challenge. We'll have the recap of that on Friday, but they will play that game before our next show. So we shouted out that as well. Then finished with quick hits. Did Tigers in the Wild. Had some fun discussions there. And then I talked some CFP, talked about the fights and the flag planting and all of that stuff. Gave our take on that and a little CFP prediction as well, as that's, of course, still very interesting, even though Mizzou's not technically in the mix for that anymore. But a great show nonetheless to get your week started and enjoy another recap of another great win over the Razorbacks. So without further ado, we'll get started. The Unwritten Rule starts right now.
Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule. Today is Monday, December 2nd. Happy December. It looked a little bit more like Christmas time, December time on the field during Missouri's Battle Line Trophy win over Arkansas because it was snowing. We had snow football in Columbia. I'm very sad I was not there in person, but it was very lovely to see all the pre-game tweets of the people clearing off the field, watching the game, and you had all the just the snow, immaculate vibes, first and foremost. But Missouri beats Arkansas. They win their last game of the season, end the year 9-3, 28-21. The Tigers own the Razorbacks in this rivalry. That isn't a rivalry, depending on who you ask. But, that's maybe a conversation for another time. Missouri wins 28-21. Payton, Kenny, it was a great game. We're going to kind of get into it and then, talk a little bit more broadly because we're full in bowl speculation season now with the regular season wrapped up for Mizzou, but a 9-3 year, very satisfying as always to beat Arkansas. It was a close one, but we're just going to dive straight in. We got a couple kind of keys to the win for Missouri, and my lead of this show talking about the snow sort of feeds into this first one. Missouri first few turnovers, a couple of fumbles from Arkansas. I'm going to say the snow was on Mizzou's side as well, and Arkansas kind of slipping up. You'd think, I was thinking about this watching the highlights, you'd think Arkansas white uniforms should have the benefit of the snow, but Missouri kind of took advantage a little bit more. 2 turnovers, and they were both forced by a guy who we're going to, I think, talk about later when we talk about some of the seniors in this game and their last hurrah at Mizzou. Johnny Walker Jr., he stripped Taylon Green in the first quarter, and then forced the second fumble with 2 minutes left in the third, helped put Mizzou in good field position when they were down 14-10. Both those turnovers felt huge. Payton, I'll go to you with this first. I mean, when you look back now, I mean, what kind of stuck out to you with him and just how he was able to get to the quarterback and obviously made 2 big time plays you expect a man like Johnny Walker to be able to make.
Yeah, I mean, credit for Johnny Walker in general because he had another really good game. A lot of it, though, kind of just comes down to Arkansas being real sloppy with the ball in sloppy conditions. I mean, Arkansas, like, maybe early on was taking a bit more advantage of the elements just from the standpoint of being able to move the ball. Missouri was not able to move the ball. Drinkwitz did say the weather was a factor, but it wasn't as big a factor in moving the ball for Arkansas. But the fumbles, man, and I mean the commentators also harped on it. Like, Arkansas has just been so careless with the ball this year. They're, like, I believe the worst team in the SEC when it comes to ball security. They've just had absorbed so many turnovers lately, and this was no different. And it wound up being probably the biggest difference in the game because, like you mentioned, Jack, it led directly to a touchdown. It was a touchdown after Mizzou got the ball on the one in the third quarter. And I mean, Missouri, that's just kind of the difference. Missouri didn't turn the ball over once, and in sloppy conditions especially, that's pretty huge because Arkansas was able to have some success moving the ball, but Missouri didn't give them any real short fields by self-inflicted wounds like that.
Yeah, it was a good game for Johnny Walker, a clean game for Mizzou, like you said, offensively. I think that was huge. You know, you watch the highlights of this game, and I think I saw a headline, before that just said it was a turnover fest, and you think, oh boy, the ball's going to be all over the turf. They're not going to be ready to play in the snow. But Mizzou absolutely was. And yeah, Johnny Walker kind of wreaked havoc. I mean, Kenny, kind of in a broader lens, I mean, you watch this game back and the secondary kind of wasn't good again, but Johnny Walker sort of set the tone. I mean, how did you see Mizzou kind of excel on defense in most areas, at least with the tackling and with, getting to Taylon Green and just kind of doing enough, even again with some secondary struggles, which I feel like we've talked to death at this point. I don't know if that's even, really worth going into with the regular season now wrapped up. But what did you like, I guess, from maybe some of that defensive front, Walker and whomever else that you kind of noticed?
Yeah, pressure was a big thing. And I think that's like one of the best things you can do in those circumstances, no matter what the weather is like in any, like, just sloppy football, snow, rain, sleet, whatever it may be. If you can get pressure on the quarterback, if you can make the pocket collapse, you're going to win battles. And I think that was one of the biggest things. Even talking to some recruits, I've already kind of caught up with some of them. Danny Beal, who's a huge target for Missouri in the class of 2026 and out of Arkansas, he was in love with how the defensive line played. He's a defensive tackle, 4-star, top recruit in Arkansas, loves Al Davis, has that connection. And even that, like, those guys, the recruits were taking notice of it. And something that, like, one of the biggest things that you're starting to see a little bit more over these past couple games with those chaos plays. You want turnovers. It swings the game so easily. Mizzou scored 18 points in the fourth quarter. It's just one of those things where it just kind of swings your way. But even, you talk about maybe some issues in the secondary still. Oddly enough, Marvin Burks had the second highest grade for the Mizzou defense in this game. And because that's pretty funny because we've seen him in red and orange the past couple weeks, and we've been harping on his performances.
Look at his tackle grade. I mean, that's huge for him because, I mean, he's been a mess trying to make tackles a lot of the season.
Yeah, I was a little bit shocked when I pulled up PFF and he was second.
85.5 for those that aren't watching on the YouTube.
Yeah, it was a good game. And I mean, to see those guys too, I mean, Johnny Walker and Tristan Newsom sandwiched in between them. I mean, we'll talk about some of the seniors in a second, but that's also, I think, a nice sign. Some of those older guys really stepping up in some good conditions. I mean, credit to, at least at the end of the game on their last drive, credit to Taylon Green. He made a couple all right throws. He had the one where he was getting hit and threw it over the middle. It was a risky pass, and Arkansas caught it. I don't know how much of that, again, was down to some shaky secondary play. But yeah, the turnovers just felt really huge. I think, Johnny Walker making those plays was really big and kind of a symbol of the resurgence that he's had over the last couple of games. But yeah, the pressure was there. There was some good tackling. Missouri kind of does enough defensively, and of course hangs on. We had that throw to the end zone. Take notes, Chicago Bears secondary. That is how you bat a ball down on a Hail Mary attempt. Sorry, Payton. But that was at least nice to see. There wasn't any sort of chaos. you know, in
Let's
that
give
regard.
some credit to Joseph Charleston too for
Yeah.
knocking out a completion out of an Arkansas wide receiver's hands. A guy that broke both of his hands this year. He's had surgery on both of his thumbs. We've seen him in a club these past couple of weeks. Just shout out another Clemson guy. We say it enough that there's a Clemson to Mizzou pipeline, and he really stepped up in his final game at Farout Field.
Yeah.
That was going to be something I mentioned earlier. I mean, just like towards the end of the game, it was a lot of seniors or just guys playing their last games at Faroe making plays. Joseph Charleston, who at times has been kind of a target of a lot of ire because he has had tackling issues. You know, he's a 3-year starter who's perfectly solid, nothing spectacular. But I mean, that third down throw or the second to last play of the game, I don't remember if it was a fourth down on the last play or not. The second to last play of the game, I mean, that was a dime ball from Taylor Green. That was caught, and Joseph Charleston had to go in there and knock it away to save the day.
Yeah, he stepped up big in that final drive because Arkansas was moving and gave themselves a chance to take a couple shots at the end zone. So yeah, credit to him. And like I said, we'll finish off, I think, the recap with talking about the seniors because that feels very, very fitting. My only other note on the conditions, I did see offensively, you know, I watched, we joke all the time about how much Brett Norfleet likes to hurdle people. I saw him gear up for one, his typical, you know, he catches it, turns upfield, gets his eyes in front of him. He geared up for one and then just decided, it's a little too slippery. I'm not going to either tear my ACL or get popped and fumble the football right now. So another credit to Mizzou kind of winning the turnover battle, but that felt absolutely huge. Just the plays the defense was able to make and then the offense not turning it over. On that side of the ball, Payton and Kenny, a guy we want to shout out carrying the ball. And again, you know, you like him keeping possession, not fumbling or anything was great, but Marcus Carroll, another absolute workhorse game for him. And Payton, I'll ask you about him first. 22 carries, 90 yards, had the 2 touchdowns, seemed to be working again. You know, this has been a theme, I feel like, in the last couple of games, him, you know, getting those runs in between sort of the guard and the tackle. They seem like they open up holes and then he finds them really well. What impressed you about him and how big of a difference did he make to help Mizzou get the win here? I felt like he was pretty huge in the backfield for them, just giving them a stable option all game long.
I mean, he was the only offense for the longest time. The first half, the conditions, I mean, there was absolutely nothing. Brady Cook had 26 passing yards at half. It was a debacle, really.
He had 3 completions until like the 6-minute mark of the third quarter.
Yeah, it was ugly. Missouri was not playing well offensively at all. They found success. Credit to Kirby Moore because he adapted once he realized it. Just turning and handing the ball off to Marcus Carroll and letting him go between the tackles was, I mean, pretty much the entire offense all day. And it started to open it up a little more for Mizzou. Eventually, Arkansas had to just keep loading up the box to try and bring Carroll down. That opened up the most explosive play of the game, which was that 70-yard catch to Theo Wease because so many guys were in the box. Theo Wease made a quick catch out in the flat and had to make one guy miss to get off to the races. They were so loaded up in the box. I mean, Missouri was able to, the game-winning play was just having Jamal Roberts make one block, having 6 guys block 6 defenders in the box, and Brady Cook was off to the races. So Marcus Carroll, the last few games in particular, he's been really vital to them after kind of being, you know, his production would be spotty. I think he ends the year with 12 touchdowns, which is pretty remarkable for him. Definitely was this was more of a, those conditions were more Marcus Carroll conditions than Nate Noel. I mean, Nate Noel was not going to be able to make a lot of cuts, a lot of explosive runs in those conditions. That was a hand the ball off to your big back and get a few yards a pop. And Marcus Carroll executed that perfectly.
Kenny, what did you think of Carroll and how he kind of opened things up? I mean, Payton mentioned the blocking and just, yeah, it's the simple things, right? Establish the run to establish the pass and run the damn ball, especially in the snow. And it worked out for Mizzou.
Yeah, you get different defensive looks. Defense responds in different ways. And I think this is one of the best things that Mizzou probably needed in this game. Something that kind of proved why that tandem is why they went after that tandem in the transfer portal this past year. They might not do that again this year with some of the guys that are rising in that running back room, and Jamal Roberts, Quan Lacey, and then some other guys that are right behind them, and possibly some of these other ones in the 2025 class. But it was just it was complimentary football these past couple weeks. And then it was just the right guy stepping up at the right time, especially with Nate Noel healthy in these past couple weeks. And then Marcus Carroll stepping up in the conditions that he was built for and the ones that he was going to thrive in that Missouri offense.
Yeah, I thought it was excellent. I just think Mizzou just had some really nice schemes in this game, like even just opening it up to the running backs or to the running game in general. I mean, we had another Brady Cook. I mean, Payton mentioned the 30-yard touchdown. We had another Brady Cook fake pitch that got like 12 yards later in the game. That play always seems to work super well. You had the direct snap to a running back that led to the 2-point conversion for Luther. Like they get that run game clicking, and it just seems to open up so much from even if it's a trick play, like we saw in the 2-point conversion, like it just opens so much for Kirby Moore's offense. And Carroll is a big part of that. He will definitely be missed in his production and what he gives, and the thunder and lightning with him and Noel, who also had some nice runs in the beginning of the game too. I mean, shout out to him. Finished with 10 carries, 25 yards, solid outing for him. But yeah, I think Carroll was fine. He had a couple in the first half that I
it just wasn't a Nate Noel game. There was just no way he was his style of play doesn't suit those conditions.
Yeah, it prevents, but giving him the ball a couple of times prevents him from, Carroll from having 32 carries and being gassed by the fourth quarter when you maybe need him. But, nitpicking there. But yeah, I thought it was just a nice game on the ground. And then, of course, I think that the best takeaway that we can have for a game like this, of course, it was senior day. We've been talking about a lot of the older guys, and I think they deserve to keep having their praises sung in this game. You win the Battle Line Trophy. You finish out the year 9-3. There was some ups and downs for Mizzou. But, to secure this win, there were big plays all around. We've already talked about it. The Theo Wease 70-yard reception, the Brady Cook, 30-yard touchdown run. Luther Burden didn't have a monster game in what is most definitely his last game in Farout, but had, one catch for 11 yards, had the 2-point conversion. It just felt very fitting, Payton. Who else do you kind of want to shout out? Because it's tough. This is the last time we'll be talking about a lot of these guys. In Farout, they won the game. I saw the Battle Line Trophy in the snow, or the Arkansas part of the Battle Line Trophy put in the snow afterward. Just a big day for these seniors in getting a nice win over Arkansas, keep the streak against them alive, and go out kind of on a high here.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, Joseph Charleston, his last game at Farout, made a game-saving play that I think deserves a lot of credit, because that ball was absolutely getting caught if he didn't knock it away. It was really perfect drive from the O-line, who has a couple guys that are definitely not coming back. Guys like Drake Heismeyer, he took his rock. Cameron Johnson, Marcus Bryant. And of course, the most fitting one of all, before I move on to that, Theo Wease had a catch on that last drive. Luther Burden, even before the 2-pointer, had the big third down catch. The most fitting of all is Brady Cook, who lives and breathes and dies Mizzou. It wasn't his last game, because there's no way he's opting out of the bowl game. But that 30-yard touchdown, it almost looked like he was grinning ear to ear, like as he ran that ball in. So that was really cool to see for him, just seeing the seniors make the plays there. You got to think about what this senior class has kind of been through for a lot of those guys too. Guys like Brady Cook, Johnny Walker. Brady Cook straight up said the environment of the team when Drink first got there was, he literally used the word toxic team, toxic culture, not a lot of wins. We were really thrilled that they were scraping 6 wins together to get to the Armed Forces Bowl. And then last year they win 11 games. They beat Ohio State in a New Year's 6 game. So it's a senior group that has accomplished a whole ton. And obviously a lot of the seniors from last season's team also deserve credit. Guys like Darius Robinson, Javon Foster. They're a big part of this senior class's story as well. But I mean, this is a senior class, and Luther Burden we might as well throw in there. He's not coming back.
I think he's coming back.
I mean, they're one of the most, if Mizzou goes on to be like a perennial like 8 to 10 win team in the SEC, these are the two teams that you'll go back and look at. I mean, even though this one fell short, I think, of what a lot of people were hoping for and what they maybe were capable of, 9-3 at Mizzou is not bad at all, with a chance to win a 10th game. I don't think that should be overlooked at all.
Kenny, what's your read on these seniors?
Yeah, I just got two things. I got to watch the ending to Theo Wease's live on Instagram. He does that a lot. He likes to go live when they're celebrating the locker room. And he mentioned, thanking Columbia, thanking the fans. They made him love football again, which I thought was a pretty powerful way that he said it. You can find the video too if you want to watch it. But yeah, he's a guy that it didn't go right at Oklahoma. He was a 5-star recruit. I mean, all the buzz around him in the world, top 20 recruit in his class, and it just really didn't work out. And he had an opportunity to go to an SEC program and just kind of refine himself. And I to be honest, I wouldn't have expected this big of a career from Theo Wease, just because he didn't really have too much production in his final year at Oklahoma. But he really came around as that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 at times. Just him and Luther always seemed like they were the best of friends too in that wide receiver room. Very talented room, different ages, but still pretty connected. So, shout out to Theo in that regard. And actually, I just kind of want to give a shout out to my coworker at Rivals, Kyle McGravy, who wrote his column after this game is like, Mizzou, these seniors, I mean, the floor is higher now for what Mizzou kind of expects moving forward. And I never really thought about it like that, just because, one of my big things is like, you can't let that 10-2 season or 11-2 season, be an outlier. You have to be able to come back this next season, win 9 games, win 10 games. You can't fall into what Texas and Baylor did the past couple of years. In Texas, different world now, but a couple of years ago, it's just you win that bowl game and then you just fall back to mediocrity. And so I think this is a big thing for Mizzou to take that step forward. Next year, we've talked about it off air, even on air. It might be a retooling year, but you still want to win 8+ games. You want to keep this kind of alive in Drinkwitz's program and Drinkwitz's era with the Tigers. And I think that senior class and even the juniors, sophomores, a lot of these guys, just these past couple of recruiting cycles, even in the transfer portal, have really turned this program around and changed what the expectations can be for the Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have both talked about it. I think it shouldn't go underappreciated, despite, yes, you knock off even South Carolina. You think about where this team could have been at with all the chaos that's happened. Yes, that's a bummer. Yes, it sucks that you didn't show up for those games against A&M, Alabama. You were so banged up that never really felt like a chance. But like, it shouldn't go underappreciated how much, like Kenny said, establishing that floor, how valuable that is. It is so hard. I think Payton, I'm kind of stealing your words here, but it's so hard to keep a program, and make the climb that Mizzou is trying to make and jump to that level. You are in such a volatile place. You need some things to break your way. You need the right people in the building. And these people were absolutely the right ones in the building. Like Brady said, he was a big part of changing that culture. And now to these younger guys that Kenny just talked about, you've set that standard and you've shown what the standard can be. And that creates the opportunity for that level to be sustained, even in those, in next year, in a retooling year where there's a lot more question marks and, a lot more that has to happen in the off season. You also create the potential to attract better talent when you win more games. That's, the simple fact of it. But yeah, I think it definitely can't be underappreciated what those guys did. I think it's awesome that they could end it with a victory over Arkansas. And obviously, we'll see how many of them end up playing in the bowl game, but a victory there too, hopefully. And yeah, I think they've certainly left this program in a lot better of a place than they found it. And that's not something that a lot of guys can say. I mean, I don't know. We watched this program struggle to get out of the bottom for so many years, and you finally get there. Now it's about keeping it going. That's what the legacy of these guys is going to be, is how well the future can sustain what they've done. I know Barrett Bannister's talked about that. Shameless plug. Go check out that interview with him that Kenny and Payton did in our last show. But yeah, I think you guys both said it well. I'm excited to see what the future holds for these guys. I mean, I hope, they can find whatever they do after football or in the pros. If you're some of them, it's gonna we'll be rooting for them. They're Tigers for life. Brady Cook's gonna bang Big Mo next year, and it's gonna be the most exciting, like, hype thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
Not next year. Give him a couple years.
Give him a couple years, okay.
He's gonna have training camp and everything.
Right.
Let's see
Sorry,
now.
But
I forgot the New Orleans Saints. Yeah, he'll be probably playing against the Falcons, right?
Absolutely.
Better than Spencer Rattler.
He is. He's proved it.
Yeah.
Twice, actually. I think you two nailed it, though. Like, I love that Baylor comparison, Kenny. Like, just a few years ago, Dave Aranda, they won 11 or 12 games, won the Big 12, won the Sugar Bowl, and then it was right back to 6-6. They went 8-4 this year. They took another step forward, but and Knowlton, it plays into what you mentioned too. It's just so hard to build up into a consistent winning program. I mean, look at a team like Kentucky. They've been perennial 7 to 9 wins under Stoops for years, and they've never been able to break through that glass ceiling they never even made a New Year's Six. So that's why this is just such an important senior class for Mizzou, because they have set that bar so much higher. They accomplished more than what, I want to say 2/3 at least of the SEC hasn't accomplished in the last decade plus. That's what the bar was set at under this group. And like you said, Knowlton, hopefully the younger players see that example that was set, and they know how to achieve that greatness. Because now more than ever with the 12-team playoff, it's so much easier to get into the dance. If you can just be a consistent program, you're gonna make the playoff once or twice every so often. So that's, I think, what this senior class's legacy will wind up being. Whenever Mizzou finally does make it into that playoff, I mean, you'll look back on teams like this where, yes, they didn't quite make it, but they were so close. The fact that they were able even to be like 1 or 2 plays from being there at Mizzou after what this program has been for like the last 8 years, it says a lot about the character of that group, I think.
Absolutely. Yeah. They're building big time. Man, if only the 12-team playoff could have been last year. They could have snuck in. Would have been that would have been great. Even though the Cotton Bowl, like, honestly, you know what, you can call me a lame or whatever. I realize I'm a pretty emotional person. It's probably good I didn't see Brady Cook go get his rock in person. I would have probably teared up. That kid has given, I think, all of us so many good memories. He's been through so much. The hell of, being a quarterback at a program that has high expectations and, doesn't live up. People are calling for his head, and he comes full circle, and he's one of the most beloved Mizzou players of the last 15, 20 years. I mean, geez, talk about embodying.
I don't think you could have found one person after 2022 that wanted him to start in 2023. Really. Right. I was among that group. I was pretty out on Brady Cook, but and then now, I mean, it's still not like, there's still people that I don't think truly kind of appreciate like what Brady Cook accomplished here yet, but give it time. I think people will come around.
Would you like to file your Brady Cook apology form also, Kenny? Because I also was in that group, and
I don't think I have one. I'm not.
No?
Yeah, I'm not an extremist. I will say my last point here before we move on.
Yeah.
Is like he lived like the childhood dream. Like, not many people did do that, and not many people are like going to do that again. It's just the world of college football. He could have left. He could have gone and played at Memphis or East Carolina if like it really just never worked out at Mizzou, or found another spot somewhere else. We talked about this with Barrett. I mean, Will Norris, linebacker, guy who did the same thing. He wanted to play for Mizzou. He was from Columbia. Brady being from the St. Louis area and wanting to be the quarterback of Mizzou, not backing off of his commitment when Barry Odom gets fired, and staying through. I mean, all the pain just kind of speaks to the person he is, and kind of speaks to like the dream that a lot of us had growing up of wanting to play for one school, wanting to go play quarterback at Texas. I mean, the Sam Ehlinger kind of thing there as well. So it's a huge thing that Brady did that, because you probably won't see that very often.
Yeah, there's a real fun battle with the recruiting mantra of like, you don't play for a coach, you play for the school and you play for the place you want to be at. And yeah, totally. That's lost now with the way it all works. So yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think, Luther to an extent too. I think there was a large part of him that wanted to cement a legacy, and he has, and he'll go do the same thing with the Tennessee Titans. Hopefully not, but we'll see. The Luther draft stuff is my thing I'm looking forward to the most with the offseason, is just looking at mocks and deciphering where he's going to end up. That's long in the future, but for now, gentlemen, yes, it is a bummer Mizzou did not make the college football playoff, but guess what? We're in Payton's bag now, which is bowl speculation time. And we're just gonna discuss a few that we've seen, the bowl projections. You're obviously hearing this on a Monday. There's going to be more that, it's not going to change probably too much with just conference championship week left. But we'll see. We'll see how the playoff shakes out and who gets what. Do you guys want me to read what the outlets have now, and then we can just discuss your favorites, Payton? I think we have to give him the floor at a certain point, Kenny. Just let him cook. I'll read through a couple. ESPN on their latest that came out on Sunday, one of them had Mizzou in the Las Vegas Bowl against USC. The other had Mizzou in the ReliaQuest Bowl against Iowa. CBS, their latest one, had him in the Music City against Michigan. College Football Network, another outlet, had the Music City as well, but against Iowa. And then the Sporting News had them in the ReliaQuest Bowl as well. But against Rutgers, Scarlet Knights, I don't think I followed a lick of Rutgers football all season. Payton, you hear those. Where do you want Mizzou? Give us the bowl rundown of where you think they'll end up.
Okay, so Kenny's got it pulled up on the screen there. Mizzou's not going to get the Citrus Bowl. That's Alabama's or South Carolina's. Whichever one of those two doesn't make the playoff, I think it'll be. If they both don't make the playoff, I think it'll be Bama. So what you're really looking at is Mizzou probably getting one of the group of 6 bowls, which is Liberty, Vegas, ReliaQuest, Texas, Gator, Music City. It's not based on standings, so the teams get to weigh in on their input. The conference kind of ultimately decides where to send these teams. The 3 most common, like as you mentioned there as well, a lot of Gator Bowl, a lot of Vegas Bowl, and a lot of Music City Bowl. The 2 I think I personally would want to see the most, just because I'm a matchups guy when it comes to bowl games. I want to play brands. Vegas Bowl would be a lot of fun because I think the potential there, it's really unlikely Colorado gets the Vegas Bowl. They're like 100% going to be the first pick out of the old Pac-12 teams, so they'll probably get Alamo. That's the dream scenario, I think, is Mizzou, Colorado, because Deion said everybody's playing, so you'd get a shot at the Heisman winner because Hunter's gonna win it. Sorry to those hoping for a Gene T. Heisman, and Shadur's gonna play, so that'd be fun. Otherwise, you could
too. I mean,
yeah,
an
old Big 12 rivalry, the 5th down. USC, they're a brand. You can do some backdoor recruiting of Miller Moss. Washington, you could get in Vegas Bowl. That'd be a fun matchup too. Other one I'd kind of like is Music City Bowl, because you could get Michigan or Nebraska there. I think those are really fun matchups for Mizzou. There is that whole debate about would Mizzou even want a rivalry matchup like with Nebraska because of what happened with the Liberty Bowl a few years ago? I think it's different. Liberty Bowl is pretty crap. Missouri's not going to get the Liberty Bowl. I can assure you of that. The worst they're going to get is Texas. Music City and Kansas was already on the non-con schedule. Nebraska is not. So I think those are key differences. Gator Bowl is interesting because there's some people out there that have said Gator Bowl kind of really is pushing to get Mizzou. That has the highest upside and downside, because the upside there is you could get one of those ACC blue bloods like Big Clemson boys. Or Miami potentially, depending on how the playoff shakes out. But you could also wind up with a team like Duke, and Duke does not excite anyone. Sorry, Duke, you had a great year. under Manny Diaz. I respect the brand over there. It's not an exciting team. So if I had to power rank it, I'd go Vegas because I think you probably get like a USC or a Washington, and those are fun matchups. I'd go Music City because you could get Michigan or Nebraska. I don't think they'd throw a Minnesota in there. That would really suck. Or a Gator Bowl. Those are the three I'd want the most.
All right, Kenny, hearing that, where do you rank it? Look, Payton, well done. You are our bowl guy. He had been waiting all year for that, by the way. He was waiting all year for that spiel. So credit to Payton.
Not so fast, my friend.
Whoa!
I got some intel on this one, and this is just the intel that my brain keeps telling me because I think would be really cool.
It's literally internal tell. It's just his brain.
Yes. ReliaQuest Bowl against Syracuse. Little journalism bowl down there in Florida. Missouri knows that stadium well for a different bowl game in that Gasparilla Bowl a couple years ago. It won't happen, but that would be so cool because that was something that even in 2022, Syracuse and Mizzou were getting kind of matched up on some bowls, but it ended up just not working out.
I will say of ReliaQuest, that is when Citrus is the bona fide top, not playoff bowl, 100%, probably in all of college sports now. The next best bowl below that for the SEC is ReliaQuest, 100%. That's the Outback Bowl for the old heads out there. It is also just a better name than the ReliaQuest Bowl. ReliaQuest, I don't think is going to get an ACC team. They seem like it seems like most places have Iowa going there. It makes the most sense. That could be fun though, because remember that mythic 2020 Music City Bowl that did not happen was supposed to be Missouri, Iowa. So that'd be some redemption there. I don't think Missouri's going to get picked there though. I think there's too many 9-3 SEC teams above them. Like if Alabama doesn't make the playoff, they're getting Citrus. I would foresee South Carolina getting there. Maybe Texas A&M gets a shout.
What about Ole Miss?
Ole Miss is up there too. A lot of different ways it could shake out. But ReliaQuest, it's not impossible for Missouri. I mean, you could see it because Drinkwitz said he's not anticipating a lot of opt-outs of the bowl game. And again, Missouri was 9-3. The fan base is going to be motivated.
That's in Tampa, right? The ReliaQuest?
Yes.
That's the same stadium.
Held in the same stadium as the Gasparilla Bowl.
Yes.
Gasparilla Bowl is like the opening act, and then like
the ReliaQuest.
ReliaQuest is the main concert.
So a nice return to a chilly Tampa late December game, perhaps. That could be fun. I think my dream, I share Peyton's dream. Colorado playing Deion would be so cool in the Vegas Bowl. That would be the ultimate dream. I think the more realistic one that I kind of have in my head right now is the Music City against Michigan. I think Michigan's a lot more appealing now. They beat Ohio State. That makes, I think, that game a little bit more
reigning
fun.
national champs too.
Defending national champs.
It's the same time Drink can say he took down the reigning national champs.
It's the Block M battle.
The Brightside battle.
The Mr. Brightside battle.
Mizzou 100% does better, by the way.
Of course. If you come out and wear the Block M's against Michigan and it's just like a straight Block M game, I think that would be
Michigan's
fun.
helmets don't have
I guess they don't wear the Block M. What am I talking about? But I think you wear the Block M against Michigan. That one's one I can't get out of my head. I think that would be fun in the Music City.
Mr. Bowlman,
yes.
Will the Texas Bowl take which of the three? LSU, Texas A&M, or Arkansas from the SEC?
It comes down to what the teams probably also want there. I could see, so LSU, Mizzou, Texas A&M were the three, right?
Yes.
No, LSU, Texas A&M, and Arkansas.
Okay, Arkansas is absolutely not getting Texas because I think one of A&M or LSU will have Texas high enough on their priority to not be really angry if they get there. And they're definitely not sending Arkansas. I think Arkansas is going to get Arkansas, I don't even know if they'll get the Birmingham or the Gasparilla, like one of the two like extra bowls that are below this tier. I genuinely foresee them getting Armed Forces Bowl like Mizzou did in 2021. That Arkansas, I just don't think is appealing to anyone. Their fan base is totally checked out. Their coach is literally getting hip surgery. Like, I don't think they're going to be an appealing team to pick. I personally would guess LSU because I think A&M probably has enough cred at this point to get like either Vegas or maybe they can get in ReliaQuest. I think they can punch a little higher. So I would guess LSU out of that group. But LSU has been there recently. So that also is something you got to think about.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good shout. That's a good shout. All right. There's bowl debate talk. So to recap, let's throw a quick prediction out right now. So I'm going to predict what I said. Music City versus Michigan is my prediction. What do you two? What say you? I'm going to force you, Mr. Bowlman, out of all your combos.
I want to believe they'll give Mizzou Vegas against USC. There's no way Colorado's getting to Vegas, which sucks because that would be so much fun. But my official guess will be Mizzou is going to Gator. I tweeted earlier Clemson. I'm now going to say they're going to get Gator against Miami. I'm going to say Miami gets left out, and I think Miami is going to be making their way up to Jacksonville.
Kenny?
Got some cojones on you, Payton. That's a bold prediction.
Bold.
Yeah, I got a follow-up question for Payton after you make your pick, Kenny.
Yeah, I'm still not on USC going to the Vegas Bowl. I think there's probably maybe some conversations about how that team already played there this year against LSU.
Oh, good point.
I don't know.
That is a good point, yes.
I could probably just be overthinking it, and it just doesn't matter. USC fans will still travel, so that's not far. But I really like this, and I think it's going to be awesome when it happens. Music City Bowl against Iowa. I feel like this is the perfect time.
The return
for it to happen 4 years later. A lot of these guys didn't get to play in that bowl game, and now they'll get that opportunity to face Iowa.
3 great predictions. Payton, my follow-up question. So you have Miami in the bowl game. So who goes to the playoff as that last team in if they don't pick
Clemson?
Miami?
I think wins the ACC title game, and the committee rightfully does not punish SMU for making their conference title game, and they leave SMU in.
Okay.
Alabama also does not get in this scenario. Alabama is going to Citrus against Illinois.
That was the correct way to spin that. All right, right on. There's your bowl predictions. So write those down. Sunday, December 8th, those all get picked, by the way, as well as the rest of the college football playoff. So we will be tuned in on Sunday after, I guess it's like 11 a.m. or whatever. I don't remember exactly when it starts, but Sunday afternoon-ish for when that all gets picked. Before we go to quick hits, quick basketball note. Mizzou plays Cal. We won't have a show until after this game, so just mentioning it now. It's the ACC SEC Challenge featuring Mizzou and Cal. Noted Atlantic Coast and Southeastern teams.
Dennis Gates Bowl.
Yeah, it's the Dennis Gates connection. Dennis Gates, of course, played at Cal. And Ben Braun, big influence on him, former Cal coach. And yeah, this should be interesting. Cal's like 6-1.
Weird seeing him with hair.
I don't think they played. Conso Martin's got some Cal connections. Kenny's just Googling all of the former Mizzou.
Yeah, I'll say he was the head coach there, and he got 2 lottery picks to commit there.
Listen, coaching,
including Jalen Brown.
He's not the Mizzou coach anymore. It's a footnote now. He's at Mo State. We're not a Mo State podcast, but he did coach Jalen Brown, which is one of my favorite facts. Mizzou's, I hope, going to win this game. Also, hopefully Caleb Grill's okay. I know he
really needs to. Yeah, we haven't heard anything about Caleb Grill. He's out of the hospital, luckily.
Yeah.
So
avoided serious injury is the main update I've heard there. But yeah, we wanted to mention that as a quick note. We will have a recap of that game on Friday, but not too much happening on the basketball front in the last few days. SEC Network, 6 p.m. You can listen to the Tigers against the Golden Bears, 2 6-1 teams battling it out. Cal has Peja Stojakovic's son, Andrei Stojakovic. That's my other fun fact about Cal. He's their best player, 17 points a game. That's
Stanford
not
guy.
That's not Lou
well.
Dort, Kenny.
Switch sides.
I know what you're thinking. They have a guy named L. Dort. It's not Lou Dort. The Dortcher Chamber. All right. It's enough nonsensical basketball talk. There's your bowl predictions. There's your recap of Arkansas. Looking forward to seeing what bowl Mizzou gets and diving in when that all comes out and recapping the Cal game on Friday for you guys as well. But for now, we'll finish the rest of this show with quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. We will finish out the show. Kenny, do you have a quiz for us for our Ken Sports Shorts segment?
Yes. It's a pretty quick one. I just kind of found it, and I thought this was a pretty fun fact. Mizzou has played 2 bowl games in the same calendar year once. Can you guess what year that is? The 2 bowl games, and if the Tigers won either one of them.
Was it this millennium?
Yes.
Okay.
2000. Oh, I think I know it. Wait, maybe I don't.
Kenny, Payton, what year did they play Minnesota?
That's what I think it is.
Yeah.
But I no longer think it was, because that was the Buffalo Wild Wings bowl, and they didn't wind up. They played that after New Year's, I think. So I don't think that would have been 2014, but I don't think that's the answer. Instead, I'm going to say 2008.
2006. That's my guess.
Payton is correct. It is 2008.
Wow.
January 1st, 2008, during the 2007 season, the Tigers played in which bowl?
Cotton Bowl.
Correct. And then in December 29th of the 2008 season, the Tigers played in which bowl?
Oh, God.
You mentioned this bowl.
Insight
earlier.
Bowl.
Outback. No.
It's not Citrus, obviously. Would this have been Texas?
No, that was
Alamo.
the next year. It was the Alamo Bowl. Did the Tigers win either game?
Yes, they
won
beat
the
the
Cotton
crap
Bowl.
out of Arkansas in the first one.
Yep.
I have no idea what they did in the Alamo Bowl.
The Alamo Bowl, they lost to West Virginia.
Tigers defeated
Really?
Northwestern 30-23.
I was going to say
Northwestern. Oh.
journalism. That's
Never
right.
won.
I do, because there was special merch that called it the Journalism Bowl.
Never
Very nice. Good one, Kenny.
Hold
I'll
on,
just throw
Kenny.
this out there. In 2009, in the Texas Bowl, the Tigers lost 35-13 to Navy.
Yep. Not good records against the Armed Forces academies.
Yeah, very bad. Tigers in the Wild. Kenny, you've had your Tiger in the Wild up for a while on the YouTube. Say it for the people listening at home.
Yep, former Missouri linebacker and head coach as well. Barry Odom is now 1 win away from the college football playoff after not really seeing too much success at the University of Missouri, and then was the defensive coordinator at Arkansas. But doing well at UNLV, and maybe opportunity there to move back into the Power 4 with some of these openings coming about.
Yeah, good for Barry Odom. This is the second year in a row UNLV has made the Mountain West title game, and it's the second time ever that they've made the Mountain West title game. So
Wow.
if they win, they're absolutely in the playoff.
I love that I can be happy. Either Mountain West team wins, because I am happy to watch Ashton Genty play more football, but I also would love, Barry Odom getting in the playoff would be very fun. I would root for that, no doubt. So yeah, congrats to Barry. Good for him. Miss him talking on the quad every Friday before the football games. It was my favorite thing ever. Sports Talk Barry, the GOAT.
I love Mizzou.
That video resurfaced. Payton, what's your Tigers in the Wild?
My Tiger in the Wild is going to be Darius Robinson. He made his NFL debut today. At one point, he was up to 8 snaps in the game. This tweet comes from Bo Brack, who does cover the Cardinals for, I believe, a podcast. Darius Robinson was the Cardinals defense was productive under him. The Phoenix Cardinals podcast. There you go. They're not endorsed or affiliated with the city of Phoenix. They'd like you to know. Hashtag Bird Gang. While Darius Robinson was on the field for his first 8 snaps, incompletion, 8-yard run, 7-yard sack, 9-yard sack, 9-yard pass, 8-yard sack, incompletion. He did not himself have any of the sacks. He did eat a double team on one of the sacks. I did see that and push them back, allowing LJ Collier to do a nice little spin and get to the quarterback, get to Sam Darnold. So, but good for Darius Robinson. He's on the field now. playing. Looks like Cardinals defense got a little bit of a boost with him, although they did lose today.
They did, but I'm happy to see that he's on the field.
Yes.
Hopefully he can make a difference for them as the season kind of continues. Bo Brack is a great name, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out Bo Brack.
Kenny is
what are you
looking
doing?
at his inspect element currently. Why don't you move on?
Bo Brack is very close at butt crack, so I was going to change it.
My tiger in the wild is Drew Lock. And yes, you are looking currently at a video of Kyle McCord. And that's because I don't want to talk about Drew Lock's Thanksgiving performance. I know it was a rough one because, he didn't have the best game. He needs more protection. The Giants O-line's bad. But this is, I did the video of Kyle McCord because I thought this tweet from the Unnecessary Roughness podcast, which is a Barstool one, was funny because it's a video of Kyle McCord rapping in the locker room after Syracuse beat Miami. And they said new Drew Lock variant just dropped. And it does sort of match the aura of Drew Lock's famous video of him on the Broncos singing. And I just thought I like that this is the legacy that Drew Lock is leaving. It's very funny. Shout out Kyle McCord, leading passer in the nation after transferring from Ohio State, and the Buckeyes just lost to Michigan. So he wasn't the problem. But anyway, I hope Drew Lock keeps playing and he'll do better next week. But I thought this was funny.
They had 20 points is what it is.
Yeah.
More than with DeVito.
They almost came back because the Cowboys stink. But yeah. Shout out Kyle McCord as well. Kenny, that's your cues. Big win over Miami.
Yeah. Payton, be grateful this guy didn't have to play against Mizzou, or chose not to play against Mizzou in the Cotton Bowl last year.
I don't think I would have cared who was at QB as long as we won, and we did. So
Payton has a
well.
disruption of the game.
I guess we'll never know what would have happened if Kyle McCord played.
Headlines of the week. Kenny, headline.
Death taxes. Kenny choosing the AP poll when it doesn't matter anymore. Mizzou moves up 2 spots. Number 22 after the final regular season AP poll.
Yeah, this poll is pointless. CFP poll is what we care about. Hopefully Missouri will be in the top 20.
I just think it's funny that we're now living in a world where Mizzou is ranked and Texas A&M is not, which after that game, I would have never believed you when you told me that.
Yep. Texas A&M is 26 on the AP.
They'll be ahead of them in the CFP poll too when that drops on Tuesday. But yeah, if there's any indication, it'd be interesting to see where they do with what they do at the playoff. We'll talk about that. Payton, your headline.
My headline is going to be Rhett Lashley, Dabo Swinney campaign for ACC teams in CFP. They think that all 3 of Clemson, Miami, and SMU should be in. They shouldn't. Only 2 will be in tops. Guys, I'm curious. I know I said already mine. I think SMU, if they lose, should be the last team in. If Miami, or if Clemson loses this game, they're out, obviously. Who do you think the last team should be in? Do you think it should be Miami? Do you think it should be Alabama? Or if SMU does lose, do you think it should be SMU?
I think if SMU loses, it should be SMU. I think if SMU beats Clemson and the ACC gets a 1-bid league, because they're sure shit not getting 3 and definitely not getting 2 if that happens. Or I don't think they're getting 2. I don't think they're getting 2. I think Bama makes it in over Miami.
Okay.
That's
it's the team that beat Georgia. I know that they still have some pretty crappy losses on there and some close games. I still think you're going to expect a better performance from an SEC program than SMU.
I saw a really interesting prediction that had Bama at 11 beating Penn State and then SMU in the first 2 rounds and reaching the semifinals, which was pretty wild.
I will say we'll know the answer to this question on Tuesday, because wherever they have, I think, Miami ranked and Alabama ranked is going to kind of be the answer.
Right. Yeah, so I totally agree. It's a big CFP rankings on Tuesday. Finally, Indiana isn't like the main focus either, which is kind of relieving. Yeah, we're staying on the National College Football front. My headline of the week is all about the old. There was a lot of feistiness rivalry week. Post game fights erupt across rivalry week as 4 teams attempt to plant flags on opponents' field. Yeah, turns out planting a flag when you win a rivalry game on the road is not very well liked. Arizona State kind of did it. Arizona State planted a pitchfork in Arizona's 50-yard line, which I thought that one was pretty embarrassing because they literally were favored. I get they clinched a place in the Big 12 title game, but that was one. NC State, Payton did it against UNC after they got bowl eligibility. Florida did it against Florida State, which is just comical considering how bad Florida State is. And then, of course, there's the Michigan-Ohio State one that led to people being pepper sprayed on the field and biker cops making a line across the 50-yard line, which was just insanity. I thought the lamest one was Arizona's. Which one did you guys think was the dumbest of the flag plants?
I honestly, I don't know, because I don't know how I feel about flag planting. I know how I feel about Ohio State's response to it. Jack Sawyer is a loser. You have gone 0-4 against Michigan. You're talking all this noise. Just, you didn't earn the right to like go off like that in the post game, quite frankly. And that gets into a whole other discussion about the state of Ohio, of that program at Ohio State. I think they should fire Ryan Day personally, but I definitely don't think it was super lame for Michigan to do it, because quite frankly, they've won 4 in a row and they just had their worst team in those 4 games without 2 of their best players, and they still won. They were 3 touchdown underdogs and they still won that game. I think that warrants a flag plant. The kind of the lamest one, I think, is honestly NC State doing it, because that was literally a battle between a 5-6 team and a 6-5 team. So that was kind of whatever to me. NC State has kind of dominated that rivalry recently. I did not know the Arizona State one.
Yeah, they put
happened.
the pitchfork in.
Yeah. And then the Florida one, even, I guess you can probably say that one too, because Billy Napier was not having it either. He was not happy with his players for doing it.
Walk in your trap, take over your trap. If you don't want the opponent to do it, win the game. I mean, it's that simple.
Yes,
you can say there's a respect to it. There's not. I mean, these are the people you hate.
I don't respect my rival.
Yes,
I don't respect
hate your rival more than anything, and that's okay to hate them. That's what sports are built on: rivalries, hatred, not liking each other. And if you're going to lose your game at home when you are favored and you are the better team by record,
21-point favorites,
yes, by players as well, you should win that game, and you should not be. I mean, you can be mad all you want, but it's going to happen. And it takes me back, because Baker Mayfield has probably the most iconic one. He did it at Ohio State when Oklahoma played there. No one came after him at the time.
I think they were all in the locker room already.
Yeah, it was later in the post game festivities, but it really took me back to that. I don't know if you guys saw in the Texas A&M game, it also almost happened.
Yep.
Sarkisian pulled all of his guys off. The cops were already standing on the A&M logo. Saw some of the guys, the Texas players, just scuffing it up with their cleats. But that's also a huge one. That's one of the biggest rivalries in the biggest state that has a team. So that's or just has college football. So that's a big one. Good thing no one got hurt there.
They got the memo by that point, because it was at night. They got the memo about what was happening. Yeah, sure. Maybe the right way to go about it is you go to the locker room and then come back out when everyone's gone and do it. But like, yeah, I'm this way too. If you don't want a flag planted in your home stadium, don't lose the damn game. Win the game. I don't know.
I think what made the Ohio State response even worse was just like they were shoving a staffer around when he was trying to grab the flag. And Jack Sawyer came off looking like such a loser after this. There's no other way to put it.
I didn't like it. Yeah. It was chaos. There was a fight in the Alabama-Auburn game. Which
it's a bit of a scuffle after the Mizzou-Arkansas game ended.
Yeah. Lots of fighting.
There's scuffles in the game.
Mizzou, Arkansas could have settled that with a snowball fight. There was an easy solution.
Mizzou fans were throwing snowballs.
Good. That's, I mean, Buffalo Bills. That's going to happen. That's going to happen. Wild rivalry week. But crazy that Michigan ended up winning that game. I mean, man, Ryan Day. I agree with you, Payton, by the way. He's got to go. He's got a problem. On the note, we mentioned a joke of a coach at Ohio State. Payton, do you have a joke to end the show?
I sure do. Guys, this one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show. Guys, why did the deer go to the dentist?
Why did the deer go to the dentist?
Because he ran in front of Jack's car.
Oh,
Wow, putting me on
I can
blast.
say that about Payton too if you want me to. He also hit one.
Did you? When?
yeah, but it lived. It's fine. It got up and walked away. I stopped.
Oh, that's nice. Can't say the same.
It
Why
had
did the deer
buck
go to the
teeth.
dentist?
That's good.
It had buck
That's
teeth.
good. Yeah, I can get behind that. Sure. All right, that'll end the show. Enjoy your week. Enjoy the Mizzou Cal game. We'll have a recap Friday. Maybe do some more CFP talk and such. We'll have some other fun stuff too. We got some good off-season content coming for football. And of course, now we're diving into the weeds of hoops. The games are getting good. We got a Kansas game coming up. Border War. Very excited. So yeah, stay tuned for all that. We will see you guys next time.